Hello and welcome to Debatable. I'm Jordan Bruns. This is a student-run, student-led talk show about hot topics that interest you.
And I'm Jillian Berger. Today we'll be discussing 3 topics with students from our high school to find out how the next generation feels about gun violence, how teenagers are being affected by technology, and what you wish you could learn in high school.
Today we're here with juniors Joe, Luna, and Jacob Gieselman. Thank you guys for coming, and Gabby Patykowski, who is also a junior. There are 300 million legal firearms in America. In 2015, there were 52 school shootings. 15 were in high schools, 21 were at colleges, 10 were at elementary schools, 3 were in middle schools, and 2 were at preschools. There was even one on a bus. In the past 10 years, around 100,000 people have died from gun violence, not including things like robbery, assaults, or crimes involving a gun.
The government plans to do things like background checks, having states provide records for things like mental health issues, and have firearm dealers notify law enforcement anytime that a gun goes missing or is stolen to end this ongoing tragedy.
So, Gabby, at school, should people be restricted from carrying guns, or do you think that there shouldn't be even if they have a license?
I think they should be restricted even if you have a license. I think that here at Davison and other schools we pay like cops and stuff to keep our school safe, so I think if they're doing their job right, then there's no need to have other people to have a gun in the school.
What precautions do you think can be taken with, owning a gun and soliciting that you have a gun?
I think background checks are a pretty good idea, making sure anyone who wants a gun is suitable to own one and take care of one, as well as security guards, 1 or 2, maybe 3, throughout the high school, just patrolling it, making sure nothing bad happens. And if something does take place, there's at least a counter force to the shooter.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and Jacob, what do you think the evaluation should be before a gun is given to anybody with any past mental illnesses?
I think they should be able to prove that they can responsibly handle a weapon. Something like depression or schizophrenia or something like that, a serious mental illness, should be, of course, checked. They want to make sure that they're not going to go crazy and start shooting people, which is what has been happening.
There should be restrictions to get a gun because I think if you're ill or something, then you shouldn't be able to carry a gun because you're putting yourself in danger and other people in danger.
I think maybe some minor things, like if someone has an eating disorder, that's not going to really affect how you handle a gun. It depends on the mental illness. I think that parents should, amongst other things, teach their kids that guns aren't just something to be played with. They're not just items, they're potentially lethal tools. There are ways that responsible adults should handle weapons. I think a lot of these kids that bring guns to school, they may have been raised around guns, so they may know where they are and how to use them, but they weren't taught how they should use them. And I think a lot of that 41% that can easily get a gun, a lot of them I think have been taught, but it's those few that haven't been taught that cause these problems. And the fewer still that actually have emotional issues that cause these problems at school.
Now we'll be moving on to our technology section.
The problem I have as a therapist is probably, again, the inability for the younger generation to have that working knowledge. So if somehow we could do both, for example, allow the students to use the phones and electronics, but can go back to the old types of things that we used to do, like spelling tests and having to do math by hand and not using a calculator and things like that. So at least the working knowledge is there available as you get older to have. I've taught college, and to be honest with you, without their phones, some of the college students did not have the information that they needed to be effective college students. The amazing thing is there's so much information at your fingertips. And so that's one of the things. About 80 to 95% of most teenagers have access to a computer and or a cell phone or the internet. And so they have amazing amounts of information available to them at their fingertip.
As technology increasingly gets better, more children are able to get their hands on things like cell phones at an extremely young age. A new wave of different health issues have begun to appear as a result of this during their teen and young adult years, among the ways of positive effects. So going off of what he says and talking about how he actually taught college classes and these kids did not have the information that they needed and they needed the contact with their phone. Do you feel that connection with your phone, like you need to have it?
No, I don't really feel that connection. I think I can do well without it. But I mean, other people maybe who spend more time and depend more on it may need that extra connection, which might not necessarily be a good thing, but that's where we're at.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think there's a way for students to stop being connected?
Don't take your phone with you to school.
Some
That's about
kids,
it.
some kids feel the need that they have to, though. Like some students want to listen to music or something. Is there a way that you can just say, no, it's time to stop?
I think a lot of that has to do with either their parents or their teachers that has to say, you know what, if I see a phone out, I'm taking it. And of course, I know some teachers do, but teachers that have to be actively watching and saying, if I see your phone, I'm taking it. Or parents that say, you can't be on your phone all the time. If I'm talking to you, if you're doing something, you shouldn't have your phone with you. You shouldn't be playing on it. A lot of it has to do with their home life. The parents are responsible for raising their children, and ultimately it comes down to whether or not the parents tell their children it is acceptable or not acceptable to be dependent on your phone or use it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
A phone's much like having a driver's license. It's a privilege. It's not a right. You shouldn't just, it's like, if you have your phone taken away, you can't say, oh, it's mine, it's my right. Well, no, when you broke the rules, you lost your rights. It's a privilege to be able to use your phone, or just like it is to drive or something. So, I think parents really have to teach that what your rights and privileges are defined by me. And if I say that you shouldn't be doing that, you should not do it, or else I can take away your privileges, such as using your phone.
We had a little course that kind of taught you about interviews and how to write a resume, but it was just your basic overview, so you could do it in college. But that's a huge part, and networking for careers too as well. I didn't learn how to network and talk to people. I'm very shy, so I didn't learn how to do that. So definitely having a career preparation course or a college prep course that all students have to go through, so that the adjustment period is a lot easier.
Basic interview strategies, basic resume writing, and then even properly taking notes in college, looking for resources around campus, even writing a professional email to a professor. And with that being said, it would be even nice if those courses were offered in high school.
I think it would be useful for them to teach about mortgages and credit, because I think a lot of people don't know about that, and then that can lead to bad financial decisions later.
How to apply for a loan or more scholarships for college, anything from balancing a checkbook to car maintenance, just different things that I didn't really pick up anywhere else.
Many students leave high school believing that they are fully prepared for what's to come. Sadly, the real world hits them hard when they are faced with things like college, balancing checkbooks, student loans, and simple car repairs. After seeing what our first college student said about how she really wasn't taught how to network or actually get around and email and contact her professors, do you think as juniors right now, do you feel prepared to leave next year and go and network?
Definitely not. I really have no clue where to even start. And so I think teachers helping us to prepare for that would be something very beneficial to everybody. Even the seniors now probably still need help with what they have to do to apply for college and be prepared.
I had never sent an email until last year. So things like that are important in an adult's life, and I think they should teach you things like that. They make you do your EDP, and then they have other sections like that usually you do in English class. They should have something like that where they teach you how to do these things that you need to know to do to be an adult.
I just wish there was like a class called Real Life 101 or Adult 101, and it just teaches you how to balance a checkbook, how to do an oil change, how to apply for a job, how to craft a resume, how to email, just basic things that you need as an adult. That'd be a great class.
At Davison, we do have a foods and nutrition course, and they do teach you how to cook, and we have a family decision-making class where they teach you, there's a small area about financial aid and stuff. How do you guys think that, is it good or is it bad? Should we do more?
I think we should do more. There should be one crash course that combines the most important parts out of each of those classes into maybe one semester course. And then if you feel that you want to know more, you aren't well enough prepared or something like that, you could take the class such as foods and nutrition or family decision making or something like that.
Yeah, because I feel like those sections are so small that most people don't really pay attention or just don't care that much, and they don't listen and gain that knowledge and remember the knowledge for the future. So that kind of, if it's so small, then not many people are gonna stick with them.
You don't need a whole class on food and nutrition.
Right.
I mean, that's just something you can put into a different class.
Mm-hmm. So whose fault do you think it is of these students who are going out into the world as young adults who aren't prepared to change the flat tire or balance a checkbook and virtually end up in thousands of dollars of debt because they didn't know?
I don't think it's anyone's fault per se, but just an oversight that maybe as times have changed, teenagers back in maybe 1980s, they were taught those things for whatever cultural reasons which were present at the time. But as we've gone through time, we're in the 2000s now, things changed. I don't know what changed, but that it doesn't work that way anymore, and it's been an oversight that should be corrected.
I know a lot of parents actually go through some of that stuff with their children. I know that my sister, before she left for college, there was a few things that my dad taught her how to do and a few things my mom taught her how to do. So should it be that your school teaches you all this stuff, or should it be that your parents step up and say, you know what, this is something you need to know?
It should be a little bit of both, because parents, they are your parents. They raise you and they make you who you are, which should be a responsible adult. But your teachers are also educators. They are also supposed to teach you how life is going to be, that's why we do math, because some people will use math in their adult lives, why we teach science, why we teach English. So there should be some things taught by the school, in my opinion. But not everything should be. There are some things that I think could be left to parents.
Both parents and teachers have different things to bring to the table, so if you combine them together, then you're going to be hopefully the most responsible and well-knowledged person that you can be, so you're able to go and tackle the stuff that you may not have been prepared for before.
But what if you don't have that ability? What if you don't have an adult who has gone through this, who has written that professional email, who has, done all this college preparedness? What if you are that student whose parents didn't go to college? What do you do?
That's when you rely on the school to teach you some certain aspects, and even if it's just the most basic, have that class that you have the option to take if you want to, that goes into more depth skills and knowledge.
Also, I think that's part of why they do allow technology in schools. If you really don't know how to write a resume and no one's taught you and you really need to know, you can, if all else fails, go to the internet and find something like that. I just feel like it's overused and people rely on it for everything. But that is what it's there for. So if no one has experienced that, you could go to the internet, because you can Google anything.
I think after hearing what they had to say, it kind of changes my opinion. I know that, America is one of those places that has, the highest rate of gun violence.
Mm-hmm.
Like Jacob said, there are places like Paris where you don't even have a gun.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. I know that my niece is 2.
Mm-hmm.
She turns 3 next week, and she herself has a little iPad that she can use, and I mean, I understand that, sometimes it's used for learning, but
Yeah.
I don't think she needs an
And the
iPad
things
that
that they
young.
can turn on, like, I've seen little kids turn on TVs or ask to play on your phone, and they can just unlock an iPhone and just simply, they know how to do a lot of things at a really young age. So
That's crazy.
Mhm.
I don't know. I think that we really should have some type of restriction on
Mhm.
that, especially for kids, at the age of 2, at the age of 5.
yeah,
And also with the Adult 101 stuff, I know that, I wish that I knew some things about car stuff, but I think that really, I think that kind of depends on my parents. I think that
Yeah.
they should probably teach me a little bit of that and a little bit about college. I mean, I don't know if my high school should totally be there.
I definitely think probably balancing a checkbook and definitely writing a resume the high schools should, hey, this is what you need to do to, succeed. But probably things like changing a tire, that's probably on your parents who are giving you that car and making you responsible for making the payments on that car so you know how to take care of it.
Yeah, especially, I know that some schools even have courses that allow you to do certain things like, write a resume or even to do a car thing. Like we have an auto class here that a lot of kids take, and I know that, most of those kids actually work on real cars, and I think that that's pretty amazing.
I would not know the first thing about, jacking up your car, putting the tire on and screwing the bolts. I don't even know if my car has a flat tire or spare tire. I don't know. I've never seen it.
I think that some things probably need to be separated between the two instead of having a class on most of it. But really, it's just crazy. I agreed with a lot of the things that they said, but I had my own disagreements.
They all had valid points, and opinions will fly.
I'm Jillian Berger,
And I'm Jordan Bruns.
and this has been Debatable.